So I've had a big conundrum lately, chat room. This has happened in a few of my videos, I've realized. I talked about this on the video I did about throws, where I did a video that was like, how are throws in fighting games? Like, how do they work? How do they affect the match? And the whole concept of the video was, this is how throws work, and this is why they define the offense of a game. And people in the comments were like, oh, you get out of throws by teching or jumping or backdashing. And I was like people just didn't watch the video and they just like commented, right? So I've made a lot of videos about why I think fighting games difficulty is comparable to learning any competitive game, right? And I talked through the learning curve and the process, and I've done, misconceptions about fighting games, and I've done all kinds of stuff. So last night there was 783 comments on it, right? And after reading through most of them, I realized that almost none of them watched the video. They were just like, whatever. I read what is difficult about learning fighting games and thought to myself, why don't I like fighting games? And I'm going to drop a comment and post it on the video. They didn't care to engage. And the problem is, my other videos have been like, hey, maybe fighting games aren't as hard as people think, right? There's a lot of misconceptions about them, about the learning curve about them. Let's talk about it. In this video, I submitted. I was like, all right, there are some hard things about fighting games. What are they? Not even meet them in the middle. They were here and I was here. And instead of meeting here, I just went all the way over here. I was like, all right, I'll concede some stuff and let's just chat about it, right? Let's talk about what the hard parts are. Nobody even watched the videos. Haven't watched the video yet. I think the problem is this was so common. This comment, I actually like this person. Whoever wrote this, I'm cool with you. Everybody else, before they typed their long sentence, they didn't admit it. This person admitted it. I like this person. This person's cool with me. There is over 1,500 comments in the thread now. What really bothers me, I think, is that my goal is to engage and talk about fighting games and why I think they're cool and all that kind of stuff, right? When you look at this kind of situation, it is really unfortunate because this is how the dialogue and the discourse happens. Seeing that nobody read anything and didn't care at all is just like such a God damn it. My favorite thing is that the top comment is like, my problem with fighting games? Veteran fighting game players are so out of touch with learning them. They don't care about trying to understand about learning them. They don't care about execution barriers or talking about this. And it's like, dude, you're commenting in a thread. It's my video. I have done so many videos about fighting games and learning them and the difficulties of learning them. In my Discord, I have tons of beginner fighting game players who are new that I'm trying to help get into fighting games. I make almost entirely tutorial and beginner-based content. Bones and Trinity run a bi-weekly beginners-only fighting game tournament, which had commentary for the Guilty Gear one, focused specifically on helping beginners learn and get into fighting games. So to comment on my video and be like, oh, this guy, these veterans, they just don't care about what beginners think. It's just so like where do you think I go to read about people who are new to fighting games? I go and read these threads and I listen to what people say and I talk about these things and there's discourse about them. Not only that, but the things I read in this thread that were so easy to prove incorrect and so easy to be like, this doesn't make sense is absurd.
Oh, you're a Sajam
I read
fan
posts
now?
about how fighting games get updated constantly and Tekken has patch notes that are too long. You read through the thread and it's just like, man, is this just how all content is? If you want to say, hey, these veteran fighting game players don't listen to us, they don't care about what we have to say, why do you also not care about people who've been playing fighting games for forever explaining what makes fighting games hard long term? The second comment in the thread says, I usually pick up a fighting game every 2 to 3 years. I'll play through the story and then spend a couple hours in the arcade mode versus AI mode. I usually put them down because I never feel like I really understand what's happening and I don't know how to improve. Why was their attack able to hit me when I was blocking? We attacked at the same time. Why did their attack work and mine didn't? The entire point of the video is that discussion point right there. Then the follow-up is, in other genres like FPS or MOBAs, I feel like I understand why I died and can course correct. That guy was in that corner and shot me in the head. Got it. Axe blinked on me, taunted me, and I got it. But with fighting games, I don't get that feeling. You think when someone's new to a MOBA and Axe blinks on you and taunts you, you're just like, oh, that makes perfect sense. You know what a fighting game fan taunt is? A taunt is where your character flips off the other guy in the middle of the match, and it's used to show disrespect. That's not what a taunt is in a MOBA. It's almost like people don't know that if they don't play the genre. Why does blinking his eyes kill me? What's a blink? It's so absurd to read this and just not see the disconnect. The other thing is when people say stuff like, yeah, but they've played MOBAs or FPS their whole life and they haven't played a lot of fighting games. That's why they don't understand it. Isn't that the point? It's almost like if you jump into fighting games as a new player and you don't understand what's happening, at some point, that was you for FPS or MOBA or whatever the other genre is. I just want them to open their minds to that idea. You weren't always experiencing those genres. And there will come a new genre that you don't understand. It might not even be fighting games. It might be something else. After this thread was on there, Hanzo made a tweet that was like, everybody that talks about MOBAs and says they understand MOBAs but not fighting games is probably dog shit at MOBAs too. And I was like, well, there is a disconnect there. I'm sure lots of people who play other genres and think they understand them really well actually don't. In the same way that a lot of people who play fighting games think they understand them and they probably don't. Listen. No matter what you do, somebody will not watch your video, comment about it, and then say something completely ridiculous. So that's just sort of the nature of being a content creator. I slowly learned to accept it. The worst part about it though is when you read your YouTube comments and you can tell your YouTube comments didn't watch the video. Like, what? Are you on YouTube just to comment? At least Reddit, it's a different platform. Not watching the YouTube video on YouTube? I'm like, what are you doing?